Have you ever wondered what makes a story really, truly stick with you? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this incredible sixth-grade lesson plan. It's all about how to build stories that have a real purpose, a real moral core. So let's dive in and see how it works. So let's start with this question. What really gives a story its heart? What's the difference between just a bunch of stuff that happens and a story that actually resonates with you, one that means something? Well, it's not just the plot. It's the why, the lesson that's woven into the journey. That's the heart. And that brings us right to the core idea of this lesson plan. We're talking about stories with a purpose. This isn't just about letting your imagination run wild. No, this is a much more intentional approach. It's about deciding on a theme, a lesson, and building it right into the DNA of the story from the very first thought. Okay, so how do you actually do that? Well, before you even think about writing a single sentence, the lesson gives you this simple but really powerful four-step blueprint. Think of it like a foundation that makes sure every single story is built on something solid and meaningful. The purpose is baked right in from the start. And when we say theme, we're not talking about some vague, abstract idea. Look at these examples. They're super concrete, right? Things like true friends forgive, or wisdom is better than riches. These aren't just topics. They are the actual moral destination the story is heading towards. So here's the plan in action. It's so simple. Step 1, who's your character? Step 2, what do they want or what's in their way? Step 3, what big choice do they have to make? But then look at step 4. The final, most important question is, what lesson will they learn? That theme you picked, that becomes the anchor for the whole thing. All right, so you've got your plan. Now, how do you make sure that theme actually comes to life in the writing? Because a plan is just a plan, right? The execution is everything. And this lesson has a really clever way to make sure the story actually delivers on its promise. The assignment itself is super straightforward. Just write 1 or 2 paragraphs. That's it. But the instructions are razor sharp. The main character has to learn something important. The story itself is really just a vehicle for that moment of change, that transformation. And this little checklist is kind of the secret sauce. It's a self-check that makes the writer step back and ask the tough questions. Is my theme clear? Did my character actually change? Does the ending actually tie back to the whole point? It's a simple but brilliant tool to make sure the story's purpose doesn't get lost in the shuffle. But why? Why is it so important that the purpose doesn't get lost? This is where the whole lesson kind of shifts gears. It moves from the mechanics of how to write to the deeper motivation of why we write. It reframes storytelling as something much, much bigger. The lesson includes this short, beautiful passage that really captures the idea. It starts so simply. You planted a story. And then it says, it didn't just grow branches, it grew a truth. See that pivot? The story isn't just the plot, the branches. It's a vessel for something more, something true, that reached someone else's heart. And there it is. The purpose isn't just to express yourself. It's about connecting with someone else, about having a real impact on the reader. And the passage lands with this powerful line, you wrote and God used it. This totally reframes creative writing as an act of service. You could even say a ministry. And to make this idea feel really solid, the lesson points to a perfect ancient example. I mean, have you ever thought about the book of Proverbs this way? It's basically a collection of tiny, theme-driven stories. Each one is like a little piece of flash fiction designed to deliver one specific moral truth. And this verse, right here, is really the philosophical anchor for the whole lesson. The goal isn't just about telling a good story. It's about using that story to help people get wisdom, to get understanding. So then the lesson flips it around and asks us to think about it. How can stories do that? How can writing a narrative that teaches truth actually help someone else gain understanding? It's the difference between telling someone a fact and letting them experience it through a character's journey. Okay, let's zoom out for a second. Because this single lesson plan, it's actually part of a much bigger educational philosophy from the curriculum's creator, HeroesMart Academy. They have a really specific moral framework that shapes everything they create. The way they frame it presents a pretty clear contrast. On one side, they ask, what's the point of being smart if you keep making bad choices that hurt people? And their proposed alternative is an education where biblical morality and academic learning are woven together. And this brings us full circle right back to storytelling.
The ultimate goal here isn't just to teach kids facts and figures. It's to give them the tools to speak truth in a way that hearts can actually understand, through stories, through empathy, through connection.
This final verse is presented as the promised outcome of this whole philosophy. The idea is that an education grounded in this kind of moral framework doesn't just lead to a sharp mind, but to a life of inner peace. So, as we wrap this up, it really leaves us with a huge question to think about. This lesson forces us to look past just plot and characters and ask ourselves, what is the ultimate purpose of the stories we choose to tell, and what truths are we hoping they'll grow?